Somebody here recently asked me why I'm doing what I'm doing. Why am I taking the time to take a critical look at videos that supposedly show paranormal activity, break them down, zoom the footage, stabilize the footage, enhance the footage, and try to make some kind of critical analysis of what it is, real or fake. So far, most of the videos I've done have been about Sasquatch. And the real reason for that is very simple. I've had a lifelong interest in that subject, ever since I was a very small boy. Growing up in the Northwest, it's like cheese in Wisconsin. If you grow up in the Northwest, you know about Bigfoot. It's part of the local lore. And it was no different for me. Every time I would go hunting or camping with my family, the thought of Bigfoot being around the next stump or bush was always in the back of my mind. And as I've gotten older, it's taken on a different approach. It's no longer the boogeyman. To me, it's a creature, an undocumented animal that's living in our forest in this country. That's just one of the reasons. The other reason is what happened to me about 8 years ago on a very dark night in a very wooded, swampy area that I'm driving to right now. 3 separate small events took place in about a 45-minute period that at the time, although they got my attention, I was able to rationalize away as being nothing important. I was on a mission, I had a job to do, so I focused on that, and I didn't think too much of it. But they did get my attention at the time, and I've never forgotten about it. So today, I'm driving out to that area, about a 45-minute drive from where I live, for the first time in 8 years. Turkey up there, I think. The place that I'm walking into is just a very small part of a much larger area of Central Florida that extends from north of Sanford all the way south to Lake Okeechobee and down into the Everglades. The trail through this thickest part of this vegetation, like I said, is only maybe 200-300 yards. But you're out here at night when it's pitch black out. Let me tell you something, this area is spooky. Now, something that wasn't here the last time was this trail marker. So nice of them to have this out here help me find it. I have to admit, I'm feeling just a little bit of trepidation right now. 8 years. Time to go do this. There we go. I'm only back here, maybe 50, 60 yards, and the trail gets pretty narrow and gets pretty overgrown pretty quickly. Like I said, at night, it is spooky as hell in here. Spooky as hell. Okay, Crabgrass Creek. Now this bridge is a lot different. They've definitely upgraded this. Last time I was out here, it was just a single 2x6 that crossed over these bridges. Oh yeah, this brings back some memories. Yeah, they've definitely changed this around quite a bit. So this is where it started. On the night in question, 8 years ago, I parked the truck somewhere in this area. Probably right over here somewhere, because I knew I'd have to walk in the rest of the way. And made my way off in that direction. So I walked up to this bridge, showed my Surefire flashlight on it. And every 6 inches was another huge spider web. It's like somebody hadn't crossed this bridge in many, many weeks. So I did what anybody else would do. Grabbed a stick in order to knock the spider webs out of my way and enable me to cross the bridge. Came across that third bridge. Decided I'd take my stick that I was using to knock away the spider webs and I'd leave it here in case I needed it on the way back. I propped it up. Just like that. And I went about my business. Back up the trail towards the job I had to do. At this point, right about here, that the first thing happened. Now, as I was walking in from the truck that night, I had a headlamp on and a Surefire flashlight. And every once in a while I would catch a glimpse of some light being reflected off of something from my flashlight. And it had a weird color to it. It was almost like a blue silver color. It was very interesting. So about the third time I saw it, I decided to take a look at what it was. And as I got closer to it, I could see it was a little spider, a little jumping spider or something. And little spiders, but they have these great big globules of eyes. And it was reflecting the light from my flashlight. And it was just a very interesting color. But as I came off the bridge, came up to about here, I heard movement off in this direction. Now I'm not sure exactly what it was. It just sounded like something moved, like rustling through the brushes. It sounded like it was, I don't know, 50, 60 yards away. Now you can't really see through here right now. But on the night I was at a spot, maybe it was a few yards up the trail or more, where I could see back there a little ways. And when I first looked, just with my headlamp, I didn't see anything. So I shine my Surefire flashlight back there, and of course that really illuminates the area. And then for a very, very brief 1/8 of a second, I caught a glimpse of reflected light. It was very brief. It was there, then it was gone. Now, at the time, I didn't think anything of it. Now, it wasn't the same color as the eye shine coming off these little spiders. I can't really describe it. It was almost a yellowish red color. And it looked like it was bigger. It was farther away. It was a ways down there. It was probably a 50, 75 yards away, guesstimating. It was out of the range of where my flashlight could illuminate. But just for a brief second I saw it, but at the time I thought it was one of those spiders. Didn't think anything of it. Maybe it was a raccoon out there making through the brushes or whatever. I didn't think anything of it. So I moved on down the trail to where I had to go. So the night I was out here for a reason. I wasn't just out here tramping around the woods at 10 o'clock at night. At the time I was still active duty Air Force. And this is an area that we'd used for training quite a few times. Had an approved helicopter landing zone right out here. And we come out here, do short little exercises and either drive or fly back to base. I've driven to this location, walked in, and also flown in several times. Tonight, we came about it from a little bit of a different approach. We drove in from the west. Parked our trucks about 500 yards west of here. There's a feature on Google Earth called Cemetery or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But that's where we were parked. And our helicopters flew in. Their mission was to drop off several guys, and they were to do a ground movement to the extraction site where the trucks were parked. And my job was to make my way through this heavily forested area along the trail, across the bridges, and come up here. And when the helicopters came in, I was to shine an IR laser up, and that was to simulate some kind of ground fire so they would fly away. And that's what I did, and this is right about the spot where I did that. So I did that, they flew away, went and dropped the guys somewhere else. That was it. That was done for the night. So I made my way back down the trail. It was right about here that the second thing happened that night that has lived on in my memory. After I'd done what I was supposed to do up by the levee, started making my way back down the trail here towards the bridges and back to the trailhead on the other side of the creek. On the way down here, I decided to look for a geocache. I was kind of into it at that time, a little bit. I had an app on my phone, and the app told me that the geocache was right in this area somewhere. So I was kind of over here in the underbrush, kind of digging through it, spreading it apart with my hands, with my headlamp on, trying to see if I could find it. And as I was doing that, I heard a sound. And I immediately stood up, stopped what I was doing, and listened. That sound got my attention because I'd heard that before. I heard it on the website of the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. It was a vocalization that was captured in Ohio. And I remember it very distinctly. Although tonight it was kind of muffled. And like I said, I didn't hear it distinctly because I was making a bunch of noise with the underbrush. At the time, I rationalized it away as probably an owl. And I thought, well, that was interesting. But still in the back of my mind, it got my attention. And I decided it was time to stop looking for the geocache. Get back to business of getting out of here.
This is very similar to what I heard that night. I only heard the call one time. It was distant and slightly muffled, and I cannot rule out that what I heard was an owl. But still, it got my attention.
As I approached the bridge, eager to get across this creek, past all 3 bridges, get back in the truck and meet up with my teammates, get this mission over with, call it a night, and go home. I came up to the bridge, and I looked for my stick, but it wasn't there. This stick, very similar to this one, that I left propped up on the bridge support railing, was gone, and I had no idea where it was. I tried to rationalize that stick being gone several different ways. It could have been some animal carried it off, possibly. I think in my mind, I was hoping that one of my teammates had happened to cross that area and picked it up and walked off with it. But it turns out none of them were anywhere near that bridge that night. In fact, none of them except for one of them even knew the bridge existed, and they were nowhere close. So, what could have carried that stick away? I don't know. I have a lot of questions. I don't know if they'll ever be answered. But this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because of a lifetime of interest in the subject, and because of what happened to me out here 8 years ago.